We're going to play a fun little game called Poppin' Off. Carson Palmer is in the house.
Ray Allen.
Reggie Miller. Ice Cube. Ronda Rousey. Johnny Knoxville.
30 seconds for you to make as many shots as possible.
While I ask you questions and you try not to embarrass yourself. Ready to play?
I'm going for the top spot.
I'm coming for you, Ray.
Has anyone scored 69 yet?
This is Poppin' Off.
Better Michael, Jordan or Jackson?
Jackson.
Your guilty pleasure.
Ice cream.
Who wins in a fight, you or Bill Nye?
I outweigh him by 100 pounds.
Oh no, the scoreboard official 2. That's gotta be wrong.
He's got 18. Yeah, Ray. I told you I was coming for you. 128, baby. 128. Get out of here, Reggie Miller.
After the fight's over, what's the coolest thing to happen?
Hot wing.
I'm still the president. You can't impeach me.
So you do think they're a little bit softer in today's NBA. Cut the cameras and you'll agree.
They are softer. No need to cut.
Oh my God, I can't believe I said that out loud.
Can I get a selfie with this?
Yes!
From the nation's capital, it is a battle for NWSL supremacy as the Washington Spirit host the Utah Royals, both teams topping the standings in NWSL, and a very exciting match coming to you in just a bit. I'm Austin David here with Ken Levicka, and Ken, this is exciting for many reasons, but these are the two best teams in NWSL right now as we look at the standings. Washington just below Utah, because of that one game they had at the beginning of the season.
Austin, how could you not love this? And you go back to April 20th, a 1-0 win for Utah Royals FC. You see it there, 13 points on the table. The only thing separating is that head-to-head matchup. Utah has never lost to Washington. Utah's never conceded a goal to Washington. So history on the line tonight.
Very stout defenses between the two teams, and Utah coming off a shutout at home this past week. Utah 2-0 over the Orlando Pride. To their own admission, Laura Harvey said it wasn't our best game, but we gutted out a result. Pride probably could have gotten a draw, but a late goal sealed the win for Utah. And solid performance despite not playing the best of football.
Definitely always helps when you have A-Rod. Amy Rodriguez, 4 goals on the season, despite the fact they've lost 6 to the Women's World Cup.
Yeah, incredible stuff from her. And then the Washington Spirit, they headed over to the Chicago Red Stars, and another 2-0 shutout. And to Richie Burke's own admission, wasn't the greatest of games, but a result in a shutout is all that matters.
Without question, the Washington Spirit are the early story of the year in the NWSL. What an improvement.
Yeah, head coach Richie Burke in his first NWSL season, making things happen. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back in just a minute with kickoff. Stay tuned.
What's better than spiking the ball in your friends' faces every fantasy football season? Dunking on them all winter long. Cross over to the hardwood and play Yahoo Fantasy Basketball, the #1 fantasy app. It's easy to play. Set your lineup once and watch the points roll in all week. Head-to-head scoring brings gridiron intensity to the court. Yahoo is the official fantasy game of the NBA. So sign up today and feel the wins in a whole new arena.
We're going to play a fun little game called Poppin' Off. Carson Palmer is in the house.
Ray Allen.
Reggie Miller. Ice Cube. Ronda Rousey. Johnny Knoxville.
30 seconds for you to make as many shots as possible.
While I ask you questions and you try not to embarrass yourself. Ready to play?
I'm going for the top spot.
I'm coming for you, Ray.
Has anyone scored 69 yet?
This is Poppin' Off.
Better Michael, Jordan or Jackson?
Jackson.
Your guilty pleasure.
Ice cream.
Who wins in a fight, you or Bill Nye?
I outweigh him by 100 pounds.
Oh no, the scoreboard official 2. That's gotta be wrong.
He's got 18. Yeah, Ray. I told you I was coming for you. 128, baby. 128. Get out of here, Reggie Miller.
After the fight's over, what's the coolest thing to happen?
Hot wing.
I'm still the president. You can't impeach me.
So you do think they're a little bit softer in today's NBA. Cut the cameras and you'll agree.
They are softer. No need to cut.
Oh my God, I can't believe I said that out loud.
Can I get a selfie with this?
Yes!
Welcome back here to the Maryland Soccerplex as Washington getting set to host Utah. Once again, Austin David here with Ken Levica. Ken, it's two stout defenses, two top teams. What are you looking for in this matchup?
I think that you look at it, these depleted rosters because of the Women's World Cup. This is where Washington Spirit and their youngsters can really shine. They had 4 top 10 picks in the NWSL draft, and all 4 of them being featured tonight in the starting 11. And of course, the steadfast in goal, Aubrey Bledsoe, last year an NWSL record in saves, picking up where she left off. Just to give you some perspective, she has 2 5+ save clean sheets this year. The rest of the league combined, 1.
Yeah, and it's a very young back line in front of Aubrey, so a lot of saves in order to kind of balance that out needs to be made. But Aubrey, just a very athletic, very stable goalkeeper in the back. Meanwhile, with the Utah Royals, they're missing a lot of international talent, but they still have a good base. Nicole Barnhart has made quite a number of saves. She has actually led in the least amount of goals this season, just in terms of NWSL, and then you've got Amy Rodriguez, who's top 5 in goals, and Vero. Don't count her out. She's going to be a very big factor in this game for the Utah Royals.
Utah's just so stout, and it really does begin with Amy Rodriguez. The 4 goals this season, and she's one of the most efficient players in the entire NWSL.
Yeah, two kids and an ACL tear later, she's still absolutely killing it.
She's incredible. You're exactly right. That's a great point. So you look at 2017. She loses that season because of the ACL injury. She has had the 2 children, and in between all of that, international duty and being a prominent player on the U.S. women's national team, and she still is as productive now as she was 4, 5, 6 years ago. She really is ageless.
Yeah, we talked to Laura Harvey before this game, and she just emphasized how much it means to Amy to be able to play, to be able to score goals. She takes it so personally when they don't win games. When they had that game, what was it, against Houston, when they lost 2-1.
Right.
She took it so personally against herself that they lost, and she came out the next game against North Carolina, did better, and then against Orlando, and now she's just building and building and building.
Yeah, that Houston match, the only blemish of the season for Utah, and really for Utah Royals. You could see it coming last year in their inaugural season, a bit up and down, but the support was there in Salt Lake City, and there was a lot of excitement. You could see the roster coming together. I'm not surprised they're top of the table right now.
It's still early, only 6 games into the season thus far, but this is the time to take advantage of all the international players being gone. This is where you test your depth, you see where your team is, where you need to improve on, and then go from there. As we are underway here from the Maryland Soccerplex, Washington will start things off heading from your right to left.
Washington Spirit are unbeaten at home this season. Rick G. Berg, we talked to him earlier this week, first-year head man in charge of Washington Spirit, and he said, yeah, point of emphasis when we play at home because we feel comfortable here, and there's a reason we're unbeaten right now.
He wants to make this team a fortress. Wants to be able to come into these games with the other teams fearing playing in this stadium. It's a long ball over top. It's going to end up rolling out of play, looking for Ashley Hatch down the line.
These are 2 teams that, yes, they have finished in the attacking third many times this season. That's why they're top 2 in the table. And as you said, Austin, still early on. But through 6 matches as well, these are 2 of the best passing teams in terms of accuracy in the NWSL. In the opposing half, Utah Royals top, Washington Spirit in total a top in passing accuracy.
See, as you praise their passes, one goes awry, as the commentators' curse goes. But one of the big parts in terms of just passing and moving the ball through the midfield for Washington's side, as you saw her have a turnover a second ago. As a matter of fact, that was her just now. Andy Sullivan, one of the linchpins in the midfield for this Washington team, as the ball skirts through and will end up going out of play. She played on one leg last week. To her own admission, she didn't play up to her standards. Didn't get on the ball as much, didn't really affect the game as much as they would have wanted her to. And Richie Burke kind of clarified that as well. But she's a bit healthier, she's feeling a bit better, had a good week in training, and now she seems to be ready to go at not quite 100% strength, but enough.
Hopefully it's improved to a leg and a half that she's able to use this time around, because she was truly on one leg last week. The captain Andy Sullivan, the #1 pick in last year's NWSL college draft, and one of several Stanford Cardinal on this roster. This really is a bit of Stanford East now here in D.C.
It is a lot of California players on both sides of the roster. We got an early corner here coming for Utah. Amy Rodriguez trying to square a ball across the face of goal, and it's knocked out, so Utah will have a set-piece opportunity just 3 minutes in.
You've got de Blasi, Sullivan, McGrady, all Stanford Cardinal in the starting 11 tonight for Washington.
So it'll be Gabby Vincent on the corner, outswinger. Take a deflection, and it will be a goal kick. Last touch off of someone from Utah.
I am curious to see if this match ends up getting wide open. And it can go both ways. You have depleted rosters. You don't have the veterans. They're off to international duty for whichever country they're representing, and we're going to redo the goal kick here. So that would potentially lend to sloppiness. But potentially, you could see these two teams with this youth just start attacking the flanks and getting up and down the pitch as well.
Yeah, and especially for Washington, their back line. Tori Huster is the oldest at 29. Everyone else is 25 and younger. And that not only goes through the back line, but Andy Sullivan's 23. MDH, Megan Doherty-Howard, she's 23. Dorian Bailey is 22. DiBiase's 22. Ship's 24, and Ashley Hatch is 24. It's just the youth on this team is so impressive, and the way that they play is even more impressive, especially through this part of the season.
Bit sloppy there in the back, leading to a potential opportunity that was cleared away. But you're exactly right about Washington. You said something before kickoff that was extremely correct, and I'm not trying to boost your ego or anything here, Austin.
Of course not.
But Washington does allow a lot of shots and does allow Aubrey Bledsoe to be tested. She did have to make 108 saves last year. She has the most saves in the NWSL through 6 matches. That also, too, is part of the game plan. So, yes, they allow a lot of shots, but they also trust what's behind them, and that allows you to cheat up a bit, allows you to fortify the midfield a bit, knowing that you have a great backstop there. So, yes, they give up a lot of shots, but sometimes that's by design, not because they're porous per se.
Exactly, and it's allows you to kind of get a little bit more aggressive with some of your play, especially in the attacking third. It allows you to take chances that you might not otherwise, and having that reliable backstop with Aubrey in goal is just icing on the cake. And Richie Burke said, and I will quote him on this because he was very definitive on this.
This is verbatim.
Verbatim. Aubrey is the best goalkeeper in the league by a long shot. Said she has the ability, a great back four in front of her, and just in a good place mentally, and her confidence is at an all-time high.
I don't know how you argue that from Richie Burke. I mean, the numbers prove it. The performance proves it. And
she's just such an athletic keeper.
Absolutely.
And I don't mean to spend too much time on Aubrey Bledsoe here as the game continues on. But, you know, Aubrey, I got to saw her play a lot with the Orlando Pride. Missed a bit of time during when she had an injury, messed up her knee a bit, but she's come back stronger than ever. It's just very impressive from where she's been, and it's kind of a crime that she hasn't gotten a U.S. women's national team call-up yet.
Yeah, and there's such a crowded pipeline there with the U.S. women's team, but I do think her time will come. It's going to get to a point where they just can't deny it any longer.
As long as she keeps doing what she needs to do, fate will control itself, hopefully.
And Nicole Barnhart, we've seen her couple of touches back there in goal for Utah. Speaking of great keepers, she's definitely one of them, a two-time NWSL champion, the NWSL Goalkeeper of the Year in 2013. She's just been consistent for such a long time.
Yeah, the 54 caps for the U.S. women's national team as well. She's just been a stable presence for whatever team she has played on. FC Kansas City, which turned into the Utah Royals for the last 5 years or so of where she has been. But again, it's with Barnhart, it's not so much making the saves consistently, it's making the saves that are needed. Because of the back four that is sitting in front of her, they play a bit more conservative and stop a lot that goes through. So both of these defenses don't give up a lot in terms of goals. You know, a lot of the score lines have been very small, nothing too big.
Well, case in point, and there is Coach Burke in his first year on the Washington Spirit touchline. He mentioned when we talked to him this week that, yeah, that first matchup season opener, a 1-0 victory for Utah Royals. Utah played a 4-1-3-2, and it really gave the attack a difficult time for Washington. Only 6 shots in that game and only 2 on target for Washington. So they're hoping to have a little bit more spread attack tonight, try and break this down.
Yeah, and then on the defensive side for Washington especially is here's a good turnover. Actually, Hatch trying to push through. Numbers getting back for Utah, no numbers really forward for Washington, but that doesn't stop Hatch from playing a back post ball, but it's knocked out, and it will be an opportunity for Washington now on a set piece.
That's a great run from Hatch, and I love that she plays it to her right foot. Look at this move. Oh, that is sensational, and then forces a clearance in a corner. That's good offense.
Something almost out of nothing. Now a corner kick comes in, headed down, players down, nothing given, and it will be cleared back. Washington will remain with possession. It's a good block by Rodriguez. It'll be called for handball, I believe.
Yeah, that's what the call is, and Rodriguez was a bit frustrated. She's going to have a chat about it as well.
So you go from a corner kick to a free kick. Back-to-back set-piece opportunities for the Spirit. Huster and Doherty Howard. Looks like MDH is having a chat with Huster. Chip ball from Torrey. Flicked on and will go out of play, so nothing doing there for the Spirit as they had a few good looks, but other than that, it's a goal kick for Utah.
And here's the handball. And catches A-Rod in the elbow and then the armpit.
The natural thing is to protect your face,
yes.
Put your hands up, and you can't control that sometimes. Good working out of a jam here for Utah. Laddish tries the long ball through. It's flicked on all the way to the back line of Washington. They'll reset with Bledsoe.
Such a fascinating season this turns out to be for the NWSL, because you now have squads where for some of them it's just maintaining, hoping that you can grab results while your roster is off to the Women's World Cup. For other clubs, you can really make a dent and put yourself in a postseason position.
Now here's an opportunity going forward again for Washington. Finding space is Huster. She'll cut it back on her left foot, and it just tails a bit too far, out of play again. But again, Washington trying to build something, getting a bit more confidence. Ship was sitting on the back post.
It's abundantly clear here through the first 11 minutes, the midfield play for Utah, or for Washington rather, is much stronger than it was at the onset in the opener. And they're able to find some room down the wings. Now, the execution and the final touch is failing them a bit, but good build-up so far for Washington. Certainly a much more confident squad than what we saw back on April 20th.
Utah plays that one out. This is where Utah really missed Leila Bantu.
Yes.
Her presence in the midfield is very effective. You know, she's not playing in this one due to suspension, but she's so influential for Utah, playing that number 6 role. Talking to Laura Harvey, she said that she would probably end up playing Jonsdottir in that role. It's not so much that they have to shift things tactically, because they can place players that normally play in different positions, and that she is confident in those players. It's just that the talent and the kind of calming ability that Labantu has is something that you can't really replicate.
Labonte is a confident player. You mentioned that word, and she is the personification of that. She was the goal scorer, the lone goal in the 10th minute in the opener against Washington, and she is a big loss in the midfield.
Speaking of midfield, Washington will win the ball back. Huster looking for the long ball over top, and it will run back for the Utah back line. Barnhart will come out and claim it.
Washington has made life difficult in the Utah midfield.
There we see Laura Harvey.
And they have forced already 4 turnovers that have led to them getting out on the run, at least into the attacking third. Utah's going to have to level that out a bit.
Another ball from the Utah back line that almost was forced into a turnover. with Washington playing 3 up top, got to be very careful with playing out of the back as they do now, as force another turnover does Washington. Really playing aggressively, trying to win the ball back in their own attacking half.
Yeah, they are pressing and they're taking advantage of those youthful legs. This is such a young starting 11 tonight for Washington. You have 4 of the top 10 picks in this past year's draft. You have the #1 overall pick from last year. We discussed her and Andy Sullivan, who's wearing the captain's armband tonight for Washington. So youth is reigning supreme right now for Richie Burke, and I think he enjoys it like that. His background is developmental, and this certainly is developmental right now.
Nice little move there. Sullivan plays it down. McGrady crosses it in. It's an easy save for Barnhart. Just didn't quite get enough curl or power on the cross. So there were 2 players in the box for Washington just ready to go.
And you're completely right. That was a cross. It was just not struck well. And a veteran keeper like Barnhart is going to stand her ground and make an easy hands catch on that. But again, good buildup once again. And they're getting it both flanks, left and right.
Now it's McGrady. We'll play it back to the back line. Nielsen off for Huster. She'll pick her head up, try and play the through ball. And again, it's Ashley Hatch with a great move. Cuts it back. Opportunity for a shot now. It's going to take a deflection. Calls for handball, none given. And Utah will come away with it for the moment. Laddish will hold on to it, plays it back for Johnson.
Now, Washington's making all the right passes. They're just unable to get shots off. Utah, while they're under siege a bit, the defense has held extremely strong. Not that we're surprised. That's definitely Utah's MO, but I love what I'm seeing out of the midfield. Huster especially, that turn to the outside, then playing it to the middle instead of delivering the cross. That was the right play. That was great, great vision.
When you have a veteran fullback like Tori Huster, who's able to get up into the attack, play balls through, but also defend incredibly well, it's such an asset to have. Just having that veteran presence who's been around the game
without
for
question
a long time, especially with these young players.
And especially in that position as well. Someone who's playing in the back but comes up and also can attack from the midfield. You need someone like that with the vision. And that only comes with time.
Huster, one of the many, many Florida State alum. They're playing professional soccer these days. There's a misplay in the back, and it will be a unforced error by the Spirit back line. Sam Staub just not reading the play. That'll be a throw for Utah.
The first true mistake we've seen from the back tonight for Washington.
There's no real pressure from the Royals either.
That pass had a lot more pace, I think, than Staub intended for it to.
In pressure immediately coming from the Spirit, and they will win it back, at least for the moment. Down the touchline, and it will be a corner kick. It's an excellent job, Katie Stengel. Just using her body to shield off 2 separate defenders. It was basically just her by herself, and did an incredibly well job there. This was the earlier chance from McGrady, just a lofted cross in.
This is the disputed handball, and I definitely think that Washington could have made a case for the hand being in an unnatural position there.
We'll discuss that in a second. Meanwhile, ball is lofted in, back post, cross, and it's going to be knocked away, at least for the moment. And now cleared downfield. So Utah will have it, and we'll have a nice spell of possession here. And we'll see how long it lasts for as the pressure again forces the ball out of play, and Washington will come back the other way.
So in that Zapruder footage, and again, that was excellent camera work. I believe that was Becca Moros, who's the player in question for Utah, wearing the pink headband. That certainly did appear as if the hands crossed over the waist and potentially in an unnatural position. There could have been a penalty call, and I'm not sure there would have been much of an argument.
Great ball from DiBiase out wide to Huster. Ball sits there in the box, and it's going to be cleared away. Right back to the Washington midfield, however, as Huster will have it back.
Ship was trying to play it through, and it took a hop she wasn't expecting, and it clipped her thigh, but the right idea for Ship.
Great through ball there again. That one's going to just sit in the box. Pressure again coming from Washington. And that one will go out of play. So again, Washington, just the high pressing that they have imposed so far in this game has really caused Utah some problems.
We also have not heard Amy Rodriguez's name whatsoever. Utah has nothing going in the attack, and it's because, like you said, Washington is high press and converting it immediately. They're playing at a different level of pace right now than Utah is.
Trying to force Utah to just play long balls over top and let Amy run after it, giving them no space to work in the midfield. Meanwhile, ball is thrown in long, sits in the box, will be played back out to the midfield and stretch the defense a bit more. Huster with the chip ball over top again. Headed away. Great little touch here by Vero. She will play through now. Here's an opportunity for Utah. Out wide for Ashley Hatch, and she is offside.
Well,
so good opportunity, and Stengel is not too happy with that one.
I think it's the right call, and Rodriguez was coming up the right side. I do think the right decision was made to go off to the left, but that was where the dicier decision on offside was to be made. Rodriguez was bringing up the rear and would have clearly been onside and perhaps could have had a run at Bledsoe.
Well, that play started by Vero in her own half. Talked about just how effective she can be. 32 years old, she's played all around the world. She's played in Sweden, Germany, France, China most recently. Played in the NWSL, played in the previous Women's League back with the Philly Independents. It's one of those crafty veterans who makes a lot of things happen in the attack. While Washington again with plenty of space. No one from Utah really closing any space down, and Washington will happily take that as McGrady will chip it over top. Unfortunately, run wasn't in time with the chip over top, and it will be a goal kick quickly taken.
And I'm not quite sure what the decision-making process was on that long ball that went across the end line, but the speed component of this, it is clear where the advantage lies, and that's Washington, and it's not even close right now. I mean, there is room to run all over this pitch here at the Maryland Soccerplex.
We'll see what Utah is able to do in possession. Before I even finish that thought, the turnover is made.
And it's almost as if Utah is completely shocked by the pressure that Washington's putting on.
I almost wouldn't say that they were shocked. I would say that maybe they're just absorbing the pressure as much as possible, just trying to play for the counter. Meanwhile, Hatch making the run, trying to chase down Johnson, and will commit the foul.
A bit too physical, and trying to make a little too much happen there was Hatch. Had a nose for the ball, but was shielded off it well. Well, look at this. Tug of the arm. Johnson was already going to the turf, did sell it well, but there also was a handful of wrist.
It's again pressure coming from Washington, almost forcing a mistake from the back. Now Utah playing through, turned over again. Doherty Howard getting it out wide to McGrady. Here's now Bailey, cutting inside. Back out wide, Huster playing it down for Hatch. Excuse me, I believe that was Ship. It's going to go out of play.
You know, it is surprising to see Utah so unsteady on the ball. That is definitely not their MO, but it does make a difference when a Kelly O'Hara, a Katie Bowen, Desiree Scott, Kristen Press especially, you don't have them to help control the ball, and it becomes very much a learning process. And so this is still very early on, uncharted territory for this Utah roster, and it's showing right now. Washington doing a great job of exploiting some of the shakiness from Utah, but they need to do better in the attacking third.
Yeah, it's not even mentioning Becky Sauerbrunn and Diana Matheson as well. Both very effective in their own craft. Ball is played through. Not enough pressure coming from Utah as that one's able to get through to Huster. Huster now picking her head up. Top of the 18. Turning around is Hatch. Hatch will take the shot. Ashley Hatch with the opener. A fantastic turn and finish from the forward. And finally the breakthrough for the home team.
It is absolutely deserved for Ashley Hatch and for Washington. And we'll take a look at this again. Hatch, I thought, could have turned it to the inside. She keeps it though on her dominant foot, finds space between two defenders, not the greatest angle, but somehow from outside the 18 is able to beat Barnhart, who was not expecting that to go to the far post. That is pure skill from Ashley Hatch, falling away from goal and getting enough on it to find the back of the net.
Former Rookie of the Year, showing her class. And just not enough pressure from Utah in closing that space down. You gotta think Laura Harvey is insanely upset about that because that is a preventable goal.
That is a great point. There was no reason that shot should have gotten through. And especially with that much velocity as well.
Just kept curling away as it got closer to Barnhart and eventually just out of reach.
What's tough, too, for a keeper in that situation is you're having your vision obscured by the defenders, and that looks exactly what happened there. You have two defenders standing in Barnhart's eyesight. She's not expecting such a full velocity shot from Hatch to come, and next thing she knows, it's past her. She could not have thought that was headed to the far post.
Just that little bit of space is all that was needed, a little bit of hesitation from Barnhart as well. A little bit of passive pressure now from Utah, but not enough. Or maybe it is, as there's a turnover, but it's right back to Utah all the same.
Third goal of the season for Hatch, and man, did she work for it.
There's a rare turnover from Washington. Sam Staub unable to keep it in. We right back for the Royals. We see Richie Burke. He's probably very happy, not only because his team is winning 1-0, but as a Liverpool fan, he's probably happy that his team has won the Champions League. It may not have been the best of games, but a win is a win, no matter what, and a championship.
He said he was not going to watch, but he would know when he saw his wife's face what the result would be. I have a feeling he was very pleased when he saw his wife enter this Maryland Soccerplex tonight.
And Laura Harvey, not so much a vested interest in either team, but coming from an Arsenal background, I'm sure she's happy that Tottenham ended up losing, and not only losing, but being shut out.
It'll make that horrific Europa League result feel a little bit better.
Meanwhile, Spirit, plenty of time and space in their own back line. Huster a bit farther up downfield. Keeping it in again. Excellent job by Ariel Shipp on the far side. And then again, Maggie Doherty-Howard just stepping in there, causing the turnover. Now Shipp. She will turn it over. Utah looking for a little bit of space. Back for Vero. Tries to play it through. Rodriguez might have a chance to get on it, and it's a last-ditch effort by Paige Nielsen to keep it away from the striker's foot, though a corner is set to come.
Well, Nielsen, some heroic defending there because this was almost a devastating mistake from the very, very solid Huster. She played Rodriguez through. She mishit it, and Rodriguez was off to the races. Great work by Nielsen to stick with Rodriguez stride for stride and make the play.
Set piece opportunity here in the 26th minute, 27th minute now. It'll be Gabby Vincent, the center back. Put things into play again. Only red shirts there to meet the ball, though. We'll come back out for Vero. She'll chip it back into the box. It's headed down, and easy save for Aubrey Bledsoe.
This is better, though, from Utah. They've allowed Washington to speed them up, and Utah clearly hasn't looked comfortable playing at that pace. This was the first time, though, there was shape to the Utah attack. and they were able to finally get into a comfort level and try and make some accurate passes and formulate something.
Meanwhile, Washington in their attacking third once again. It's almost a nice little turn. The line it goes back from McGrady. DH now will play it back to the back line. Brady again. Trying to play it forward for Bailey. It's going to be knocked out. So we see a first look at Gunny, Gunnhildur Jonsdottir, one of the Icelandic players on this roster. So that's an unfortunate bounce, but not a foul, as the ball just came up and hit her in the face.
Fair play there from Utah.
It's Ashley Hatch.
Yeah,
I think she realizes what happened. Bit of a stinger there, unfortunately.
Trying to collect her thoughts a bit after taking that straight to the nose. And when you take a shot like that, and you're going to see right in the nose, right at the underneath of the nose, and it does not need to be a heavily kicked ball to catch you in that spot for it to cause pain and cause you to see spots, and that's just what happened there to Hatch. I don't see any blood. That's an upset. So have some water and move on.
So while Hatch gets a bit of treatment, she'll let her team get some water. Another look at Hatch's goal. From this angle, it looks like Barnhart may have gotten a tiny touch to it.
Could have.
But that bounce that it took in front of her probably was just enough of a curl away to get it into the side netting.
Still doesn't change the fact, too, that she was screened away from the play. And again, Hatch is falling away from goal and is still able to get that type of power behind the shot at that angle between two defenders. That's just extraordinary. And you're right, Barnhart did have a better beat on it than we initially thought.
Hatch's third goal of the year. Won the team's golden boot. So the team only finished in 8th. Looking to build on that with all this young talent that they've accrued in this past draft, as you mentioned earlier. So many first-round draft picks for this Washington Spirit squad. Again, Tori Huster showing some class. Down the line it goes again. Cross from DiBiase, looking for Ship. Be over the head. And will be taken back by Utah.
Oh, Ship is going to be driven crazy by the fact she mistimed her jump. That cross hung just a bit. She was not marked. She had great position in the box and realized at the last moment that she wasn't going to get there. She had jumped too early and the arms and legs started flailing, but that was a beautiful ball, and Ship was just a fraction of a second early.
Michelle Maimone playing it down. Once again intercepted by Washington. Just every single time the ball is played through, just trying to get anything going through the midfield. 2 Washington players right on top of it.
Yeah, it sure does feel like that, Austin. It has definitely felt like every time Utah has tried to get it into the Washington half, it's been picked off. I mean, this is an extraordinary defensive midfield performance for Washington in this first half.
It's a lot of fresh legs to be able to press as early and as often as they do, because you have to think about playing a 90-minute game. Pick and choose when you stretch your defense a little bit, but Utah hasn't shown enough to get them to stop just yet. It's again a little give and go here from Huster. Ship tries to cut it back. Here's an opportunity, and the shot off the post. And it's going to go out of play. But what an opportunity for Dorian Bailey to double the lead.
Oh, Bailey. You look at the touch.
Great cutback from Ship as well. Bailey, nobody closing her down. Plenty of space and time to take the shot. Just missing by the smallest of margins.
Well, it was the all-world ball from Huster that sprung the run. And Bailey That first touch was just clipped by the defender a tad, and she had to hesitate, gather herself, and then that caught her off balance just a bit, and she put it off the post. But Washington starting to do whatever it wants now. This is the first matchup, but roles completely reversed.
As you see Vero taking out a bit of frustration on MDH. Trying to get her team going a little bit. Had the chance to watch Vero play live a couple of times in person. If she's given the space and time, she can really dismantle your defense, but the great thing that Washington is doing right now is giving her neither.
That'll certainly help. Look at that.
It's again Sullivan playing that ball through just underneath the foot of, I believe, that was Ship.
Just the one-touch passing from Washington has been really, really good. There is a level of confidence right now.
And you see a little bit of shift in formation from Washington from what we were given early. Here's another opportunity for Utah, but it's easily read away by Sam Staub. So now let's see if Utah try and pressure that. It goes right on the foot. Vero will keep it in, though. Great shape defensively from Washington. Vero just trying to create something at anything, but it's only her and 4 defenders. Not much that her or Doniak could do. Vero once again on the ball. Quick little step over. Great closeout. And a foul on Vero as Ashley Hatch has come back to make a good defensive play.
Simply just frustrating Utah.
It's all about the team effort. When you see your forwards come back to defend like that, it's a true team effort. Everyone doing their part to win the game. So now with that 1-goal lead past the half-hour mark, we'll see how they play out these last 15 minutes, and then both teams will head to the locker room. Laura Harvey, I'm sure, will have a nice chat with her team to try and change things up a bit. But Washington will look to try and double their lead before they head into the locker room. Try and really take control of this game as again into the attacking third. So Meg through the defender's legs. Come to nothing as Vero again trying to pass through the defense. This time she will earn the foul.
Washington's creating everything up that far touchline right now. At some point, Utah's going to have to try and alter what Washington is doing, but just a series of gorgeous long balls from Houston that has sprung Washington up that right side. It's a sieve right now. Utah's got to shut it down at some point.
Ball is through here. Opportunity just carried away by Bledsoe. She had a late read on it. That's Rodriguez's first shot of the game. Plays it through to Sullivan. They will try and build out of the back.
That was a great ball over the top that found Rodriguez, and I'm not sure Bledsoe thought Rodriguez was going to be able to put an accurate shot on it, and Bledsoe realized, uh-oh, this is headed towards the post, and had to make a late dive and make the save. That just shows Bledsoe's athleticism to get back and get a touch on that.
Exactly right. Let's take another look at that one. She was stepping back, just able to get enough jump on her legs get it away.
What balance from Rodriguez. With that ball coming from behind her to swing her right leg around and put a shot on goal.
Another turnover and another opportunity to go forward. Here's Ship. 1-on-5, waiting for runners to come help, and she'll make the smart move and play it out back and let the runners come forward. Mr. plays it back. DiBiase now. Sullivan. MDH out wide for McGrady. Washington just comfortable enough to stay patient, wait for their opportunity. Now McGrady with a tiny bit of space, closed down. Play it back out again. Staub. Nielsen back for Staub again. McGrady looks for something up front. She'll pull it back again. Utah starting to cut off some of the early angles. Now they head back to the preferable right side. Let's see if they end up working it with Huster again. Bit of a collision as Sullivan and Huster unable to control it.
She got all ball in that one.
As you can hear, I think the fourth official saying she got all ball. And again, stepped in by Andy Sullivan. Runners going forward now for Washington. Hatch making the run. And instead, Sullivan will play it smart and play it back. Washington not really in a spot that they need to push forward and go for goal. It's still early. Want to try and control the pace of the game, but give enough space and time, they will take advantage of it. As here's Hatch, top of the 18. Plays it back for Sullivan. Inches away. Andy Sullivan with the strike from distance. Ooh.
Austin, you said that they don't necessarily need to continue to build up like this, that they obviously just want to play at their preferred pace. It's clear their preferred pace right now is lightning quick and go for it, and here we go again.
Again, why take your foot off the pedal, especially at home? You got to take advantage of having that home field advantage, having the 1-0 lead.
Sure.
Why sit back and try and defend against a team that you're playing well against? Here's a great give and go again. DiBiase playing it for Huster. She'll get into it. Back now for Sullivan. Out wide again for McGrady. McGrady getting past her defender, lofts the cross into the box, comes back to the top of the 18. Rodriguez will play it forward now. So here's Katie Stengel making the run. Heavy touch from her, but it's an opportunity to stay with it. Instead, it will be off of Stengel and back to Washington's possession.
Well, in the previous sequence, viewers may have seen it at the bottom of their screen, and here's Sullivan just putting it over the bar, but making Barnhart commit to it. Richie Burke from the touchline reached out and gave 5 to Tegan McGrady. Burke is thrilled with the play of his left and right backs right now. McGrady on the left, Huster on the right. They are putting so much pressure from the back on Utah. It really is an 8-9 player attack right now for Washington, overwhelming Utah.
McGrady went, like you said earlier, one of those Stanford Cardinals, 2017 national champions. That ball for DiBiase is going to fall just wide. Janstadter will play it back. To the back line now for Vincent. Bit of pressure coming from Washington. So I'll let it go back for Barnhart. Vincent, an interesting story with her, a non-roster invitee in preseason, made the supplemental roster and is now starting games in the back line in place of Becky Sauerbrunn. Quite a testament to the impression that she has made on Laura Harvey. Not one of the easiest coaches to impress.
No, she's definitely not. And Laura Harvey is all business all the time. And you and I have spoken with her several times over the last few years, and she knows her stuff. She is, as Richie Burke put it, a tactical genius. And again, those are his words verbatim, and I would not argue with that. But she is one of the wisest soccer minds you're going to find.
And what was really cool last year, well, this past year actually, in the soccer convention out in Chicago where the draft was held, she had a talk just going over little intricacies of what she has learned in her coaching tenure at the various clubs she has been at. It's just very interesting to kind of pick her mind a little bit about what she sees in the game compared to other coaches and what makes her just a successful coach.
A lot of coaches do enjoy discussing tactics, but there are some where you ask them about a game that took place 4 days ago and they're so intent on what's coming up, they can't remember specific sequences. Laura Harvey can talk you through pass by pass, sequence by sequence, going back 4 or 5 matches. It really is incredible.
What you call a student of the game.
Yes.
It's always fun to meet those kind of people because they're so ingrained in their job and what they do, and they really do care as well. That's part of the job, is caring enough that it's not just a job for you, it's a lifestyle.
And that's where the teaching comes from, and that's why Laura Harvey's so good. That's why Richie Burke is so good. They are teachers of the game.
Pressure coming from Rodriguez as Bledsoe just gets it away. Sam Staub probably unnecessarily just booting that to safety. That will go out of play. Had a little bit of time that she could have settled it down and knocked it off to McGrady, but the pressure coming, you try and make those quick decisions. And again, that's kind of what Utah needs to do at this point. With the pressure coming, they need to move the ball. The ball moves quicker than the man, or the woman in this case.
But they're being sped up again, and they're not comfortable with it at all. And that's all Washington. They are in passing lanes, they are pressing, and they've been doing it for the entire 42 minutes. Now 43.
And again, Harvey will head to the locker room and definitely make some adjustments. I'm sure Richie Burke will try and counter those adjustments with his own tactical shifts. But at this point in time, there's not much they really need to change on the Washington side.
What's curious, too, is if you're considering substitutions, there are several reserves that you haven't necessarily seen an awful lot of. And so you just wonder where you slot them in as you're trying to adjust to this Washington press.
Yeah, Erica Timrak's one of those players that can definitely affect the game
Without
on the Utah
question.
side. University of Florida grad. It's been around since the FCKC days. See her definitely making an appearance at some point. Ball is into the 18 again. Huster fakes the cross, plays it back. Knocked away. It's coming out to Vero now. She'll get a little space to work with now. Plays it through. All down the line. Stop asking Bledsoe to come out. Bledsoe wasn't coming out, and that could have ended up very, very unfortunate for Washington, but luckily
You can see Staub kept waiting and waiting and waiting.
You could see her making the hand movement saying, come, please come get it.
I don't want to have to play this. At the top of the formation for Washington, what we were told the formation was going to be at the onset was Ship, the right forward, and Hatch at the left forward. But it certainly does seem as if they either A, didn't necessarily start like that, or they've switched at the top of the Washington formation, because Ship has spent a good portion of this half coming from the left side.
It's a very fluid top three is what I would call it. It's just a lot of movement, which creates a lot of problems for the defense.
Yeah, marking does become difficult there. You're trying to track your assignment. Next thing you know, someone's behind you.
So as we approach halftime, we'll only have 1 minute of stoppage time to come. Utah will look to try and get something on the scoreboard as we head there. That one right into the waiting hands of Bledsoe again.
Well, Richie Burke told us he was not happy with the first half in the 2-0 win against Chicago, and then said after the game, Coach Dames there with Chicago, and there's a bad giveaway.
Now Vera will have an opportunity, plays it through. A chance for Rodriguez, but she doesn't get enough on the shot. Easily saved by Bledsoe, and you can see she's just frustrated with that option there. Had the space, had the time, maybe take an extra dribble in and get some power on that shot, but instead she tried to take it one time, and it just did not work for her.
Wildly uncharacteristic there from A-Rod, but Coach Dames from Chicago after the match.
Ball from Barnhart, just getting away. It almost sat there for a little bit too long.
And there's the minute indication from the fourth referee, but Coach Dames said, hey, we were chasing shadows in that second half, and Richie Burke was encouraged by that, but says, why can't we do that for a full 90? Well, he's got to be thrilled with the opening 45 in 1 minute here tonight.
And that's part of what he needs to see from his team is the full 90. Last game it was the second 45, this time it's the first 45. He's going to look to try and keep that energy, keep that quality of play at its top, at its peak as they head into halftime. Meanwhile, Utah they just need to get something going in possession. There's too many poor giveaways, too many times where they're just not moving the ball fast enough. And Washington, it's right into their game plan. Still, definitely, the game is completely there for the taking for either team.
Completely. But I don't think we're overstating saying that was a sloppy 45 from Utah.
Well, they will head to the locker rooms to try and change things up. Meanwhile, Washington will head into the locker room fairly happy with their performance thus far. 1-0 thanks to that one right there, Ashley Hatch. A great goal early in that first half. So we will go ahead and take a break, come back in just a bit. Stay tuned. It's halftime, Washington 1, Utah 0. As we back at the Maryland Soccer Plex, Washington Spirit leading 1-0 over the Utah Royals thanks to a 23rd minute goal from Ashley Hatch. We will go ahead and take a break now and take a look at all the highlights from the NWSL in the month of May.
Sam Kerr cuts back to the right. Sam Kerr with another goal! And the backflip.
Dorsey! Oh, what a stop!
Carson Pickett crosses it, a header, a goal for Orlando! Saved! Kampmeyer twice, sent away! And she is fired up, so are these fans. How in the world did Kampmeyer save not once, but twice?
Daly shot, and Daly scores. Daly's second of the afternoon, and she now has a brace. What a stop by Britt Eckerstrom.
Nagasato into Sam Kerr. Sam Kerr! It falls!
Kerr trying to make it two, and Kerr will find the roof of the net, and she now has two tonight. A brace last week and a brace today.
Cuts it to her right, shoots to the back post. Oh my, oh hi! What a goal!
Soccer Plex, 1-0 for the Washington Spirit over the Utah Royals, the #1 and #2 teams facing off. Other action in the NWSL. Orlando is hosting the North Carolina Courage, still 0-0 in the 21st minute. We're going to go ahead and take a break, come back in just a bit with the second half. Stay tuned. Back at the Maryland Soccer Complex, 1-0 for the Washington Spirit, thanks to Ashley Hatch's third goal in 3 games. We're going to come back in just a bit with first half highlights. and the second half between these two top NWSL teams. Stay tuned. Be back in a bit. Getting ready for the second half between these top NWSL teams. Washington leading the Utah Royals 1-0. Welcome back. Lawson David here with Ken Levicka. Ken, it's a first half that was dominated by Washington. 62% possession. Let's take a look at those highlights. We'll talk about the possession in just a bit, but early chances for Washington, and first of all, came from Ashley Hatch.
Yeah, and look at that turn inside and that cross. It didn't hit the mark, but it did force a corner. And that was really just a sign of things to come for Washington, because there's a mishit cross, and it forces Barnhart to make a save, though it wasn't intended. But again, look at the runs being made. Look at that disputed handball. That was not called a handball. Very well could have been. And then here's the goal. Hatch turns it to the outside, falling away, finds the far post, beats Barnhart. What a thing of beauty from Hatch. Her third goal in 3 matches.
Yeah, excellent finish from her. But you saw early chance after chance. And here's another one that came from Bailey that hit right off the post. And it just so many opportunities coming for the home side that it really put Utah out of sorts a bit.
It did, and the high press was really problematic. There's the one glorious opportunity for Utah, and then it was more of Washington peppering Barnhart's goal. That was a good look for Rodriguez, didn't get any right foot on it, and that was the end of any sort of threat to Washington in the first half. A very well-deserved 1-0 scoreline, probably should be more.
Yeah, and looking at the stats here, the shot count is 6-4 in favor of Washington, but that really doesn't tell the full story. Like I said earlier, 61% possession for the home side compared to Utah's 39. The amount of passes, the amount of fouls won, it's all in favor of this home side Washington Spirit. And if Utah is going to do anything, get anything from this game, they need to try and affect the game more. They really need to get something in the attack. And going back to something that Laura Harvey said to us before this game, she said that the team needs to create chances and put Bledsoe under pressure if we have any chance of getting a result from this game.
Yeah, and that needs to start now. And you've got first place, sole possession of first place on the line right now on this NWSL table. Utah's going to have to play with a little bit of sense of urgency, and you started to see frustration take over in the final 5-6 minutes of the half with pounding the ball or throwing arms in the air. Utah needs to channel that. I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, but you can tell that the frustration level is rising a bit.
We'll see if Laura Harvey talks some sense into her team, talks some tactics, as we are underway for the second half. Just kidding. Apparently it's going to be a turnover, as the ball was not taken correctly off the kickoff. So
well, if that's not an inauspicious start, I don't know what is. Oof.
You don't see that called very often.
No. In fact, I'm not sure that I've ever seen that in a live match before, or I've been present for.
I have seen it in Division II college soccer.
That was a
And that was in a friendly.
That was a first for me, especially in NWSL play.
Well, I mean, credit to the referee. If you're going to, adjudge
Sure.
the rules, you got to call everything. So, fair enough. It's an early foul. Maybe could have played advantage on that as Hatch goes down.
Well, let's discuss Washington. Hatch with the goal, obviously. You also had what I still believe may have been a rightful point to the spot on a handball in the area. And you also had Bailey put one off the post with Barnhart beaten. This could very easily be 3-0. Utah should feel fortunate, but also they should feel like they have renewed life, because this is very much still a competitive match that they can get right back into.
Exactly right. Now Washington will have a free kick into the box. Kept away for the moment. Vero is underneath it. Shielding down is MDH. No foul called. Ball was there for the taking. As Vero will push forward now. Still with Vero. Getting past 2 defenders. Picked her head a little bit too late to pick out the run. Jamie Rodriguez. Down the side it goes, and it's just in front of Rebecca Moros.
Man,
good look.
Yeah, that was the right play. You're exactly right.
And to start this second half, that's a good play to see because it looks a little bit more attacking minded.
Exactly. It looks more tactician successful, if you will. And so I love Vero's effort, and that run was sensational, but then when she needed to make a pass, she didn't lift her head, and A-Rod was making a run into Bledsoe's goal.
Almost the win back by Andy Sullivan, but she trips over herself and falls down. So Utah will have it again. Defense does its job for Washington. Is now opportunity going back the other way.
If Utah is going to get back into this match, the midfield is going to be where it starts. So far, so good, for the exception of the opening kickoff of the half.
Honestly, from what I saw from Utah in that first half, I really think they need to take advantage of the wing play a bit more because the way Washington is pressing them, they're stopping everything from going into the midfield.
Exactly.
You know that Utah likes to play through their midfielders. So you got to take advantage of the wing space that they're given. And you saw a little bit of that with that first pass.
Yep.
But everything going through that middle is being stopped by 1, 2, 3 Washington defenders. Although here's a chance for Katie Stengel. Gets on her right foot, curls it, and it's right for Bledsoe. Good positioning from the keeper.
Well, that's not bad. I'm okay with that coming from distance. You got to start pressuring Bledsoe a little bit. You're not going to beat her unless you put shots on her, and Utah definitely did not put anything overly difficult in the first half, so fine. Make her work, and I love what you mentioned. You're exactly right. Spray it out wide and attack from the wings. I think that's the way to get at this Washington defense, because you're right, there's just not much there in the middle of the field, or at least wasn't in the first half. Washington, meanwhile, that's all they've been doing is crushing the flanks tonight.
The flanks and the midfield. They've had great play throughout almost all parts of this this pitch in general. It's out for Andy Sullivan now. Plays it forward, DiBiase into the box. Cuts it back. Shot is blocked. And again, rolling it through. Maybe a handball her own teammate as it is blocked. And Utah survived that one. Player down in the box for Utah, though. I believe that's Gabby Vincent. No, that is Samantha Johnson, one of the center backs.
And we'll see what caught her face. I don't think it was the ball. It might have been an elbow. There was a wild scrum in there. And you're right. I think that Washington may have been denied a goal by a handball from her own player. And we'll look at the sequence here. A left-footed shot, and yeah, it absolutely went off of a teammate's arm. Hatch could have had a brace.
And you saw the collision that had Johnson go down. Johnson 10 days away from celebrating her 28th birthday.
It does look like they're looking at her left ankle, doesn't it? I thought initially that might have been a above the neck injury, and instead it looks like they're working on her left leg. Let's see if...
Might be a knee injury, which is very scary.
She's getting looked at. Washington was able to put good pressure again on Barnhart's goal. And Washington just the tougher team, too, when it matters physically here tonight. And that's not typical of a match that Utah is involved in.
So you take a look at the knee here. Ooh!
Oh, it's hyperextended. Yeah, she absolutely had it hyperextended, a contact injury. Oof, that is...
At least she's able to put some weight on it.
Absolutely.
Not much, as she's helped off the pitch.
Man, those are scary. Those really are.
Just incidental contact.
Yeah, there's
too.
nothing you can do about it. You don't see it. Get backed into, but it catches you at a moment where your leg is completely locked.
So we'll see if they are forced to make a substitution. For the meantime, Utah will play with 10. So we'll see if Washington try and put a little bit of pressure on to take advantage. Jonsdottir will sag back into the back line for the moment. All played through and turned over immediately. Good pressure from Washington once again. Now it's for Sullivan. Sullivan takes a dribble forward, somehow almost gets through, comes back out for Ship, and she'll play it back.
Washington is just coming at Utah in waves. There's just no room to move.
That's what they got to do to stop anything from going on. Johnson has come back in, so that's a good sight to see.
Doesn't look all that hobbled either. That was a good sign, full stride.
Some of those injuries, just it's a stinger at the moment. You walk it off, and then you're good to go.
Yeah, it feels scary at first, and then once you realize, oh, everything's still intact, that's a great feeling, and it's easier to come back from that.
It's always scary with those lower extremity injuries, especially with knees and how important they are with soccer players. The ACL, the LCL, the ligaments, just everything in there working together. As not a foul, apparently, says the referee. Amy Rodriguez going down and showing her frustration.
Yeah.
MDH, Maggie Doherty-Howard, just kind of collided with her. Probably could have been a foul.
Well, I think it's a play, too, that Amy Rodriguez and Laura Harvey is not happy, and I would not want to be on the receiving end of that, as we got a great vantage point of that. Amy Rodriguez is the caliber of player that probably can earn that call, but the way this match has been refereed, that hasn't been called at all tonight.
Andy Sullivan will spread it out wide. McGrady now. Down the line it goes. Bailey, one-on-one with her defender, steps over. Tries to cut it back. Ball is crossed, knocked away, and a corner is to come for the Spirit.
Well, Utah still having trouble with the speed of Washington. So we're going to see, and I like the the play on. Like I don't think that earned a foul for Amy Rodriguez.
Ball into the box. Misses everyone. Will come out to the other side. Hatch making a run towards it and was unable to keep it in play.
It's case in point, though. Washington's just an inspired group tonight, and maybe it's there are some players who are getting their first true look in the starting 11, or there's disappointment after the April 20th loss to Utah, but they're just grinding it out, and they are out hustling everyone. Case in point
turnover.
Again.
Back for Huster. They will stretch the defense back out again. Play with Sam Staub. Nielsen. Both fullbacks pushed up on the sides for Washington. Threaded through, back for Huster. That one's popped up, not what she wanted to do. Pressure coming again from Hatch. Almost forces another turnover, but it's back for Vero. Jonstadter now will survey her options. Played through and immediately turned over again. Moro's trying to get it down the line. Had it turned over, but she'll be able to win it back. Nielsen. The unique thing about Nielsen is at UNC, where she went to school, she played as forward. Not often you see a forward switch to a center back.
No.
But with that, you get a very capable defender with very, very good feet and a bit of an attacking mindset as well. So unique kind of situation for Nielsen in that role she plays now for the Spirit.
Well, because of those attributes, you wonder why it doesn't happen more. It does seem like a transition that can be made.
You see a lot of those attacking players move to fullbacks because they can affect more down the line, getting more open space, but then don't have to necessarily do as much defending. You learn the defense as you go along. I can think of a couple dozen players that have gone from attackers to fullbacks or vice versa even. Now an opportunity for Sullivan. Just miss. Looks like it took a deflection though. It'll be a corner coming for Washington.
After making a run like that, why not give it a go? She definitely looks like she's not playing on one leg this week.
Again, Richie Burke said she looked a lot better in practice. She looked more confident, able to put more weight on her leg. And again, she's so integral to this Washington side, just in terms of the midfield. You know, at 23 years old, she's wearing the captain's armband. It shows her quality in the attack here. That's going to be a push-off. Now, if that had gone in, it may have raised some questions, but that was pretty evident that that was a push-off in the box.
Yeah, that was a conviction call.
I believe that was Sam Staub.
It was. It definitely was. And the referee saw it immediately.
Oh, we got some subs coming for the Royals. So the first sub that we'll see in just a little bit here is Erica Timrak, who we talked about a little bit ago.
Yep.
She's one of those players that they can bring off the bench to affect the game. Down the line now for Stengel. She's unable to keep it in play. And we will see our substitution now. So Timrak will come in, and Doniak will come out. So in her first ever start, Mackenzie Doniak comes out in the 59th minute. And for her 5th substitute appearance, Timrak comes in.
Now, Timrak in now to fortify the midfield and try and create some semblance of a consistent attack now for Utah. A veteran, someone who understands the system, and someone with a bit of speed perhaps as well that can get Utah out on the run, at least to match the speed that Washington's been playing with tonight.
Timrak, who's been in the FCKC/Utah system since 2013 when she was drafted out of the University of Florida. Spent a little bit of time with Bayern Munich and has also made some women's national team caps in her time. Moros will look to throw it in. Vero trying to call for the ball, and instead it will go. And will be turned over again. Right to the back, Sullivan. Space, time, look forward. A beautiful ball by Sullivan. So now it's on the far side. Bailey crosses it in. Falling down and getting the shot off all the same, but unable to put it on frame is Ariel Shipp.
Well, that was a cross that had 2 different targets potentially. There's
put it in a dangerous area, and you never know what'll happen.
Absolutely. So Shipp ended up being on the end of that, and there was no way she was ever going to get enough accuracy on that to severely threaten Barnhart, but it just shows you exactly what you were discussing in the opening 5 minutes of this half, Austin. Washington's been so good on the edges, and that continues, just running down the wings and delivering. It's a key to success, something Utah hasn't been able to do.
Flag is up on Hatch, the long ball originally from Huser.
Looks like some tactics being discussed here, or Harvey trying to figure out her next move.
Some moments over the last few possessions that Utah have had, just not as much pressure being put on by Washington, but yet Utah is still playing as if that pressure is coming and having a silly little turnovers.
It starts to become a habit if you're forced into something for 50 minutes. And yes, Washington has backed off a bit, but it's tough to just fall back into what your typical routine is after you have been attacked and pressured for about an hour.
And as that pressure kind of lifts off, it gives Utah a little bit more confidence.
Sure.
So they can build into it. And again, you're only down 1. The game is definitely not out of hand by any stretch of the imagination. Well, all they need is one opportunity, and the game completely changes.
Yeah.
As many coaches over the years have said, goals change games.
They've been vastly overplayed, and you're 100% right. They are 1 shot away from equalizing and giving themselves a chance for 3 points.
It's again Tori Huster getting into space. Working one-on-one, trying to cut it back. Spins herself around, second defender comes. Somehow gets off. DiBiase with the shot, it's blocked away. Only for the moment, DiBiase will win it back. Some space into the box as she goes. No one closing her down, cut back to the top of the 18. Just going and unsure of how to get that shot off, unfortunately, is Dorian Bailey. It had it just under her foot, and somehow went to the other side of her foot.
How slick, though, is DiBiase in that sequence. I mean, that was phenomenal on-ball play from her, making great decisions, delivering into scoring areas. Ultimately, the final chance at quality failed Washington, but DiBiase, not for any shortage of her providing maximum effort and quality.
Now Timrak is on ball. Again, space opening up a little bit more for Utah. Stengel has it taken off her foot. Back to the Utah or Washington back line. Down the line it goes. Huster very good with those long balls, as now it opens up an opportunity with the pressure coming. As unfortunately Hatch took it off the back and was not able to control it.
That was too precise a pass. It was almost like a video game where you can just kick it right at someone and they're immediately going to have possession of it.
If that ball falls through, though, it's one-on-one.
Yes.
And you see that Utah has kind of pressed up a little bit higher. They've put their line, their defensive line higher up the pitch to try and get some more into the attack. And it has worked in certain instances. They've gotten a bit more possession. They've gotten farther forward than they have, especially in the first half. Great spatial awareness there as Timrak now will take it. Space closing down quickly. Nobody coming to help for Utah, though.
No runs being made either.
It's just a lot of stagnant, a lot of waiting for the ball over top. So it almost works out there. You saw 3-4 players waiting at that defensive line. So instead of taking advantage of the space out on the wings, it's all clumped up in the middle. It's Vetter now with the turn. Timrak trying to play it through. Still an option for Utah. Is it just go out of play? Rodriguez lets it out.
Yeah, and rightfully so, thumbs up. That's the right play. Maybe Timrak could have taken an additional touch. He had some room to move, but that was, anytime you see an A-Rod flash across, that's a good move.
Again, Ashley Hatch keeping it in play. Very close to going out, as you saw some Utah players shouting for it. Bit of pressure coming from Ship. But now you see Utah starting to stretch the defense for Washington, try and grow into the game a bit more. Now taking advantage of the opportunity here on the wing. Timrak cutting inside. Cuts it back out into the 18, crosses it across. It falls to Rodriguez, and it's saved by Bledsoe. Best opportunity of the second half so far for Rodriguez. But unfortunately for her, Aubrey Bledsoe is standing in goal.
So look at this build-up. Timrak, the substitution, and she's paid immediate dividends. Rodriguez got good velocity on it.
That's such great positioning from Bledsoe,
It really is, and she knew exactly where that shot was going. But the last 4 or 5 minutes has been the best we've seen from Utah all night long. They are, as you said, growing into this game now. They look threatening for the first time. A lot of that has to do with Timrak, I think. She just brings a different element right now to the midfield.
She takes advantage of that space as well. You know, she's somebody who they haven't seen yet, at least in this game. And while Washington, spell of possession here, so they'll play it back to the back line. Still plenty of time for either team to do something in this game. Washington try and get that 2-goal lead, put the game away, put it in better hands. Utah trying to push through and get the equalizer.
And it does look like Richie Burke has substitutions ready to go here for the Washington Spirit.
Again, the back line for Washington has played incredibly well. Sam Stomp, Paige Nielsen, those two center backs. Good spatial awareness from them. Very calm and composed on the ball, which is what you love to see in a center back.
Yeah, it's been a very consistent performance from them. And we talked about it in the first half. Part of their game is, hey, let Aubrey Bledsoe go to work. Let her show her greatness, and we can take some chances elsewhere. But Bledsoe really hasn't been challenged.
So here's again another opportunity. This one's offside, but again, Utah, they press to a certain point and then they kind of sag back. Maybe in the last 15 minutes they'll just go all out, but in the meantime, we will see subs for both teams. Callie Farquharson will come in for her 6th appearance of the season. And out is coming Ariel Ship. So Farquharson in. Move on for Utah. Mallory Weber has come in. And out comes Mandy Laddish. Weber, her 4th appearance of the season thus far. Actually 3rd on the team in goals, technically. All in substitute appearances. It's very much the super sub that Utah may need to get on the board.
Laura Harvard bringing in reserves in the right places. And another.
Utah's shouting for offside, and they will get this one.
They do get it.
Quickly taken as Johnson will have it. Washington starting to sag back.
But have almost completely recycled the midfield now. The first 2 substitutions for Utah are midfield substitutions, and now they're going to try and bring it.
Great job by Andy Sullivan just stepping in. Once again, Washington will have possession. And even with Utah speeding them up, they're still very comfortable on the ball. As that one, Amy Rodriguez just running over her opposite number, MDH.
It's been an entertaining battle tonight, those two. 2 gritty players.
Take another look.
Rodriguez just could not put the brakes on.
Runs right over top of the Florida grad. It's another one of those draft picks that Washington has had over the last few years. Headed on, Sullivan is there, but it'll be saved by Barnhart as she just comes out to claim it.
Utah has definitely found its attack a bit, but Utah still has not found answers for Washington coming at them. And no, they haven't been incredibly dangerous opportunities, but this keeps happening.
Here's another opportunity for Hatch now as a turnover could be capitalized on, and it will be off the post, followed up and in the back of the net. Doubling the lead as it starts from Hatch.
Well, the giveaway in the midfield, just as Utah had started to get themselves back into this match, they still did not have a remedy for the giveaways. And Hatch started it, Dorian Bailey finished it, and the North Carolina Tar Heel has most likely put Washington at the top of the NWSL table.
Her first professional goal in NWSL since being drafted 8th in this past draft. Another chance from Ashley Hatch right off the post. Jonstadter unable to get there in time, and Dorian Bailey right place, right time for her first pro goal.
Ashley Kennedy, we still have your
Ashley Hatch, by the way, what a shot from that angle. And it makes Barnhart commit. Barnhart had no chance on the follow from Bailey. That's just lovely stuff. What a match for Hatch, who right now has, in my mind, Woman of the Match honors locked up.
Absolutely. And it's almost a carbon copy of her first goal. As the ball was tailing away, took a bounce, and instead of finding the side netting, found the post. But great heads-up play by Bailey just to have that ghosting run in, able to finish up an easy ball.
Utah needs to get one back, and it needs to happen soon.
Especially going against a stout defense like Washington's has been. And with that goalkeeper in the back, Aubrey Bledsoe, they've really got to get something going.
It makes it daunting, too, just from a mental standpoint, knowing that's what you're going against now, substitution.
Enter the game. Number 5, Megan Crossan!
As you hear from our PA announcer, Megan Crossan is coming into the game. And coming out is Tegan McGrady, so left back out. And Crossan, who has played now in 4 games when she comes in. Played in different places in the midfield as well as in defense, but most recently played as left back, so able to fill in right there.
Richie Burke is a happy coach. He loves the way that his left back played tonight. She was really strong, both on defense and in the attack. I mean, in game, he was giving her high fives. He's a happy head coach right now, and why not? This has been a banner night for his young team.
We had another substitution, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it was Utah that made it.
Try and get the particulars on that.
It was Alexa Newfield who's come in. So Katie Stengel is out, Newfield is in. So you see Newfield making the run there on the long ball. Headed away for the moment. Vero underneath it. Now wondering as Houston unable to get to it. Newfield actually former member of the Washington Spirit back in a previous time. Only played one game with them, but still a member of the team. Ball forward for Hatch. Tries the one-touch pass, and it's intercepted by Johnson. Will be a Utah throw as you see a bit more urgency coming from the away side.
Now, 2 midfielders and a forward. Those are your 3 substitutions for Laura Harvey. Yet, still not able to really, truly put on that pressure that's going to make Washington feel incredibly uncomfortable.
Ball long again. This one will be easily grabbed by Bledsoe as she will just chest it down and kill off a little bit more time. No rush.
3 shots on goal tonight for Amy Rodriguez, but none of them left me thinking, Austin, wow, she got robbed, or wow, that was a supreme opportunity. She's been in good scoring positions, but nothing that has made Bledsoe really have to work all that hard. And that's a testament, I think, to the back 4 of Washington.
They have really cut off a lot of the angles that she has had and have done a good job just marking her out of the game. Talking to Richie Burke before this one and talking about how they were going to mark Amy Rodriguez out of this game, he said that both Sam Staub and Paige Nielsen have spent hours and hours in the film room studying all of those little runs that she likes to make, every little intricacy of her game to prepare for this, and he felt that they were very prepared, as that shot is going to be just wide.
Well, it turns out they were very prepared.
Doherty Howard with an opportunity. That one tailed quite a far ways away, not really too dangerous. And that one from Newfield, just nobody running to get it. Played back. Nielsen now swings it out wide for Huster. Nice little touch by Huster and Sullivan. Great possession there. Excellent play from the 2. Centered off, trying to thread it out as DiBiase. Come back for Doherty Howard. On the far side, crossed in, and will tail out of play.
Curiously, Austin, unless something shocking happens in the next 15 minutes or so, Washington's on the verge of going 4-0 without their World Cup players. They were 1-1-1 at full strength. That's pretty remarkable.
It shows 2 things from my point of view. One, that Washington has built a very good young core that doesn't necessarily need to rely on their national team players. And 2 is that other teams that do rely on their national team players are so much stretched out that they can't overcompensate.
Yeah.
So it sets up for Washington to really take advantage of this period of time where all these players are missing due to their World Cup duties and really put a hold on the league.
Well, part of the reason Washington has picked so often over the last 2 years in the top 10 is because of really their struggles as an organization the last several years. They've made some trades that also allowed them to do that, but you're exactly right. They have fortifications where teams right now just don't, because they're so young and so talented, and it definitely seems like after 2-3 really poor years, Washington starting to head back on the uptick. And I know we're only 7 matches in, but this looks like a really sound, solid club right now. That's only going to get better.
Ball is played through. It's knocked out of play. Utah will now have it. Shot is going to be saved just over top by Aubrey Bledsoe. It's a quick shot from distance, testing the keeper.
It's pretty nifty, and I didn't think that had a shot of being on goal, and suddenly it was up on Bledsoe.
He's dipped a bit too much, and Bledsoe just palming it over top. Meanwhile, corner coming for Utah. Great strike from A-Rod.
Yeah, that was
that's the one shot you say, well, she got robbed a bit.
Yep.
Meanwhile, ball is in, headed away by Huster. Vero out wide. Crosses in and crosses out.
You saw Bledsoe after that save clapping her hands, just imploring her defense, hey, let's not get lazy, let's not get sloppy. She should not have had an opening. A-Rod shouldn't to take that shot, as great as she is. But if that's the quibble with tonight for Aubrey Bledsoe, you're feeling good about the way your squad is playing.
Ball now out wide. Just over 10 minutes to go in this game. Washington with a comfortable 2-0 lead. Same score line that they won last week's game. That was away in Chicago. This one home in the friendly confines of the Maryland Soccerplex. Options going forward for Sullivan. DiBiase now cutting inside.
Do want to point out, too, this has been a poor club for several years now. The turnout tonight appears as if there is excitement building back behind what is a proud franchise here in the capital area. I mean, this has been a great, loud, engaged crowd tonight.
Utah trying to push forward. Here's an opportunity for Rodriguez to get a run on. A bit too far wide as she will try the cross, and unfortunately for her, no one is there to meet it. There's no one really making the runs into the box as Rodriguez going all out for the effort. Now no real pressure coming from Utah as they'll let Washington play out of the back.
Starting to feel like Utah is just resigned to its fate right now. That was the first time I truly felt that right there. That is thrown out of play, and Richie Burke, you can hear him saying, why wouldn't you just send that back home to Bledsoe instead of kicking it on top of my dugout cover?
Settled nicely. Back into possession is Washington again with Huster. Now a bit of pressure coming from Utah. Almost forcing the turnover, but just good positioning from Washington again. Back for Hatch, who's come back into the right wing kind of role. Back into defense. Now working through it is Bailey. She'll pull it back again.
Since we got on full volume, an angry Scotsman and Richie Burke, let's talk about Coach Burke for a second.
Well, hold on, don't call him a Scotsman now. He's a proud Liverpoolian.
Yeah.
Is that the right term for it? Liverpool?
Yeah, sure.
He's from Liverpool. That's all that matters.
He's a Liverpool man.
Yes.
He
Continue.
did apply his trade in Scotland and then headed overseas as a developmental coach. A relative unknown blip on the radar in women's soccer. But man, is he taken to this well, it appears.
He's been in the DC area for almost 30 years now.
Right. In this area, definitely a known quantity.
He played indoor with the Washington Warthogs.
It definitely raised some eyebrows when he was hired, because again, in the women's realm, just hadn't done much. But he has come in and he has immediately garnered respect around the league, but most importantly from these players. They respond for him.
And I remember him when he was hired, he's in an interview and someone was asked, like, you know, what's going to be the big difference? What's going to change? You know, how are you going to be able to transition yourself into coaching women? He just plainly said, football's football.
That's fair. I mean, I think that's 100% accurate, without question.
Vero now pushing forward, trying to find the run of Rodriguez, and Sam Staub easily read that one. Under 10 minutes to go, Washington with a comfortable 2-0 lead and comfortable in possession as well. This is a point of the game where, as a coach, as Laura Harvey, you want to see some fight from your team. You want to see them try and fight back. Even if the result is done and dusted, you want to be able to see something that you can take into the next game and be able to build off of it.
Without question.
And especially with some of the younger players trying to build their way into the lineup, this is the prime opportunity for them to prove something to Laura. So we'll see if they end up doing something or they kind of just resign themselves to their fate.
Well, this is pivotal. You're 100% right, and it's not just tonight, but the next month and a half becomes basically, for some of these players, how they can build a bridge to their future. They are trying to find, if not for Utah, trying to find any of these NWSL teams to be able to latch onto. Word of mouth, favorable scouting reports. So absolutely, this is a great opportunity, but you have to bring it when you get that spot.
That one will run out of play. Will be a goal kick. I believe we'll have a substitution, the last sub for Washington, as Bailey Feist comes in for Dorian Bailey.
Bailey for a Bailey.
Number 19, Dorian Bailey.
What a night for Dorian Bailey. She was involved in some of the biggest moments of the evening for Washington.
Very effective on that left side. You see the moment her and Richie Burke are sharing. Meanwhile, Bailey making her second appearance of this season, drafted 17th overall this past year, made her debut back on May 4th, coming out of Wake Forest. All down the line into the attacking third now for Utah. It's knocked away. Mallory Weber was on it, still with Weber, and just lost it.
Sort of indicative of the night it's been for Utah.
Unfortunate, but it's just, that's how it goes sometimes. You know, you have it one game and then you don't in the next.
Laura Harvey, she is imploring her team to keep battling, But they've been worn down. And it really is the pace at which Washington has played all evening. It began with a high press the entire first half and dominance in the midfield. Utah finally gained a bit of footing in this second half, but Washington still more than enough offensive firepower to make life difficult. Still physical defensively. You can still see them battling right there. And finally, this game really put away unless a miracle happens in these final 6, 7, 8 minutes with that Dorian Bailey goal.
All it takes is one goal for Utah in the next 2 to 3 minutes, plus stoppage time, to make things a little bit more interesting.
You just wonder now if they've got it in them. It's Washington is still full go, and Utah has been sluggish since that second goal.
And again, with Washington, the way that they press, it's a team effort. And I'll reiterate that. If the entire team presses, if the entire team is on board with the plan, it works to perfection. But if there's one player that is slacking a tiny little bit, it usually doesn't work.
Think about the sequence, too, and that is going to be pulled back because a Utah player kicked it before the free kick could occur. But think about the sequence. You had Rodriguez force a solid save from Bledsoe. This is a bad ball back.
A chance here, but Bledsoe is on it. Timrack gets a head on it, and it'll end up going out of play because, well, of course it does. It's just one of those nights. It was just nothing has bounced right for Utah. And it can be so frustrating that just nothing really clicks. And you see Aubrey Bledsoe chewing out her back line a little bit. Don't let up.
Keep your head in it.
She wants that shutout probably more than anyone.
She's looking for another clean sheet, absolutely.
the less saves she has to make, the better.
Think of that sequence, though. So Tim Rack substitutes into the game. It takes all of 5 minutes for her to make a great run down the left side. She feeds Rodriguez. Rodriguez, good shot that forces Bledsoe to make a save to her right. And you think to yourself, here we go. That's what Utah needed. And then 3 minutes later, boom, Dorian Bailey goal. And how deflating that is.
Goals change games. I will reiterate that for as many times as possible. Every coach that I have interviewed has said that at least once in their lifetime. It's such a cliche, but always so true.
It's in the coach's manual.
It really is.
Every coach's manual.
Fouled from behind is Newfield. Free kick coming for Utah with just under 3 minutes to go. As we look ahead to the next games for these two teams, Washington heads out to the Washington area, Tacoma to be specific. They'll take on Reign FC on the 15th. Meanwhile, on the 15th for Utah, they'll be back home to face Sky Blue FC. 3 out of the next 5 for Washington will be at home, which is very favorable, especially with that being most of the World Cup, essentially.
Yep.
Meanwhile, for Utah, they're home, away, home, away, home over their next few.
Man, that Washington number is huge, though. How home-centric their schedule becomes. They're about to move to 3-0-1 on the season at home, and they look like a good bunch here on their home field.
So Utah might have some chances over the next few minutes because there will be 4 minutes of stoppage time to come. So here's an opportunity now down the line for Tim Rack. Can she keep it in play? She does. Cuts it back. Into the box now is Rodriguez. She plays it back. Bit of confusion there as Janstadter and Vera went for it. And well, now it's back out to the wing. And that's an easily saved for Bledsoe. Waste of an opportunity there. Unfortunate. There have just been so many moments where Utah has had good opportunities and they just can't capitalize. And again, it's partly because of what they're doing, but also because of what Washington is doing and how kind of regimented and good they have been just in terms of their press and their defensive formation.
And I do think that Laura Harvey would agree with me. Washington has been the better side tonight. They have executed better.
And even in the 90th minute, still pressing, still forcing the quick passes from Utah. But as that happens, with tired legs, could open up some opportunities. Mallory Weber trying to get forward. And again, great defensive effort. This one from the substitute, Megan Crossan. There's the 4 minutes of stoppage time, starting now. So everyone set your watches, make sure you count.
Follow along. Bledsoe in no hurry here, telling everybody to retreat.
And just a reminder, stoppage time to end the game is up to the discretion of the referee. 4 minutes minimum of stoppage.
Richie Burke certainly questioning the amount of stoppage time. You can see him there on the touchline. Really? 4 minutes? Oh, okay.
I mean, thinking back at it, I don't know how much there was that would add on 4 minutes. 1 minute for the goal, for sure. I would probably say 2 or 3 minutes, but
yeah,
might as well just add an extra.
There was the Samantha Johnson injury for Utah, and that probably is what makes up most of it. She is okay, by the way, and did not get substituted at all.
Still with Utah. Tim Rack looking for options. Lays it off now for Newfield. Ball over top, and again, right to Bledsoe. Bledsoe will take some time and boot it down into the night sky.
What a feeling it has to be to, after the struggles of this organization over the last several years, and yes, it's still early, only 7 matches in, but you're going to be alone at the top of the NWSL table, 3 points clear.
And it's a nice feeling for the time being, but I'm sure Richie Burke and the entire Washington Spirit team, they're not content with that. They're not content with just having first for a little while. Once you're there, you want to stay there.
Yeah, there's a lot of work to do. It is wild how the whole complexion of the league is going to change a month and a half from now when everybody comes back in full fitness as well.
It could be a lot of players who make a long run into the tournament might be a little bit overtired, may have to rest a little bit. It'll be an interesting dynamic to see once it happens.
Yeah, how coaches handle that. How much time is needed between World Cup transition and domestic play.
It's taken out as DiBiase. Play on, says the referee. Cutting inside. That was going to be blocked. And cleared away. It was Bailey Feist with the shot.
One thing that I find impressive about tonight, too, for Washington, they came in the second most fouls committed in the NWSL. They have played a clean match tonight, too. Not an abundance of whistles from them.
7 apiece for both teams in fouls.
And really nothing that you and I have said, oh, maybe a booking is coming.
Nothing too overzealous. And then in terms of saves as well, you look at the goalkeepers. Really hasn't been all that much, honestly.
No. But Washington had as many shots in the first half as they did in the entire first meeting between these two clubs combined. And that just gave you an indication of what type of night it was going to be for Washington.
Yeah, Bledsoe actually is credited with 6 saves as of right now. She had 7 against Chicago the other night.
She makes it look easy.
She does. It's interesting to see where she's come from and where she is now. It's back at Sky Blue in 2015, went on loan out to Europe, drafted by the Orlando Pride, was Ashlyn Harris's backup, then came to Washington, has really made that job her own.
She's really grown into the type of keeper she's become. She's a great developmental story. She's worked at it.
Chance through, a chance for 3, and it's going to be just over top.
I like the ambition, though, Austin.
That was Callie Farquharson with the chance. And with that, the final whistle has been blown. The Washington Spirit walk away from a contentious match, dominating possession, dominating the game, and dominating the scoreline with a 2-0 victory. Excellent job by the Spirit on their home turf. It's a fantastic job by this home side. So we'll take a break, come back in just a bit to wrap things up. Stay tuned. Welcome back here for the post-game between Washington and Utah as we take a look at some of the highlights. The goal for Ashley Hatch that put them up early. This is in the 23rd minute. This is another opportunity. It was Dorian Bailey. Put it off the post. She would get a goal later on in the game. But a good opportunity there in the first half. And into the second half. Katie Stengel with the long-distance shot, easily read by Aubrey Bledsoe. Sullivan with the shot from distance, just missing. Erica Timrak cutting it across. Amy Rodriguez with one of her many chances on the night. Just unfortunately unable to get anything going offensively were the Royals. Off the free kick. It was flicked on. Barnhart was there to pick it up. And here is the second goal. Bailey making the ghosting run onto the far post, picking up Ashley Hatch's shot off the post and knocking it in. And then you see right there Aubrey Bledsoe making her biggest save of the night off a volley from Amy Rodriguez. Take a look at the Washington Spirit applauding their fans. taking them from being here. 62% possession for the Washington Spirit on the night. Dominating performance at home in front of their home crowd. A very convincing performance from the now #1 Washington Spirit. Thank you very much for joining us. My name's Austin David. For Ken Levicka and the entire crew, so long. Have a good night. Washington 2, Utah 0.
Be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of the National Women's Soccer League.